The untold story behind Jinjar Duggar's shocking fall. A family in crisis, a woman on the edge. What happens when years of silence, pressure, and hidden pain suddenly explode behind closed doors? Jinjar Duggar, long seen as the unwavering pillar in a turbulent family saga, faces a moment that could change everything. This isn't just a story of a fall. It's a gripping tale of emotional collapse, raw vulnerability, and the fierce fight for freedom and self-identity. Stay with us as we unravel the complex layers behind the headlines, where loyalty clashes with truth and strength is found in the most unexpected places. You won't want to miss a second of this deeply human and profoundly revealing journey. There are moments in life when silence echoes louder than screams, and for Jinjar Duggar, this moment arrived not with noise, but with a quiet collapse that sent shockwaves through her tightly woven family narrative. What seemed from the outside to be a composed life, filled with traditions, expectations, and orchestrated smiles, suddenly unraveled in a single instant when she fell, physically, emotionally, and metaphorically, amid an escalating family conflict involving none other than her husband. Eyewitnesses close to the family, though discreet, have confirmed that the incident didn't stem from a single argument, but was rather the outcome of building tension, a culmination of emotional strain, familial pressure, and personal grief that had been mounting behind closed doors. Jinjar had always been considered the steady one, the reliable presence in a reality show-fueled family narrative, often marked by turbulence. But even the strongest structures can crack when the foundation is under fire for too long. On that day, it wasn't just a fall. It was a collapse of resilience, a breaking point. One source near the family described her as drained, cornered, and emotionally unguarded, standing at the intersection of duty and desperation. She had tried, many said, to hold her ground through recent family disagreements, ones that were growing louder and harder to ignore. Disagreements rooted in the clash between her private values and the public expectations placed upon her marriage. Her husband, whose name we will withhold to respect privacy, was present when the fall happened. Reports suggest it was during a heated confrontation in their private residence, a discussion that turned personal. Words were exchanged, sharp, pointed, and unresolved. Jinjar, already overwhelmed, reportedly fainted before anyone could react. No immediate medical attention was sought, further complicating the situation as those close to the couple attempted to downplay the seriousness of the event. But those inside the inner circle knew this was no minor stumble. It was a collapse years in the making. Jinjar's journey has never been one free from scrutiny. Raised in a culture that demands perfection and obedience, especially from its daughters, she has long walked a fine line between compliance and quiet resistance. Over time, her subtle shift in behavior, from public appearances to her social media expressions, signaled a woman undergoing personal evolution. She was no longer merely part of a narrative written for her. She was quietly picking up the pen. Family insiders recall that in recent months, Jinjar had become more withdrawn from group activities, choosing instead to focus on her mental health and her children. There were whispers of her seeking counseling, a move often stigmatized in her upbringing, but encouraged by those watching her slowly carve out autonomy. Yet, the expectations didn't stop. From family elders to external observers, Jinjar remained under immense pressure to keep the peace and set the example. Phrases that, while noble in tone, burdened her with emotional weight. She bore it all in silence, until her body could no longer support what her heart had been carrying alone. The aftermath of the fall was not physical injury alone. What followed was an emotional reckoning. In the days after, Jinjar remained out of public view. No official statement was released, and the family, known for their usually rapid-fire responses and tightly controlled media narratives, offered only a vague comment citing exhaustion and a personal moment of vulnerability. But observers and longtime followers of the family noted the coded nature of those words. Exhaustion was often a substitute for emotional burnout, and vulnerability rarely acknowledged in their world, unless it could be spun for redemption. Those closest to Jinjar say that she has since started to reevaluate her priorities. The fall, while frightening, may have offered her a unique turning point, a physical manifestation of what she had been experiencing internally for years. The concept of family combat isn't about shouting matches or staged confrontations. For Jinjar, it's about the constant tug of war between loyalty and liberation, expectation and truth. Her husband, once seen as her solid ground, is now part of the turbulence. Sources suggest the couple is in active discussions about the future of their marriage. While separation has not been confirmed, the emotional distance between them is becoming harder to ignore. Those who have interacted with the couple recently describe an atmosphere thick with unresolved tension and mutual frustration. But Jinjar is not alone. Friends, silent supporters, and even some extended family members have reportedly reached out in quiet solidarity, offering her the freedom to grieve, heal, and, if necessary, rebuild. This time, perhaps on her own terms. It's difficult to predict where this road will take her, but one thing is clear: Jinjar's fall was not a failure. It was a signal that something in her life, something fundamental, needed to change. And sometimes, change arrives not with fanfare, but with a single, heartbreaking collapse. In the greater scope of the family story, this moment may seem like a footnote. But for Jinjar, it may just be the prologue to her own chapter. A chapter defined not by quiet suffering, but by strength reclaimed, truth spoken, and peace rediscovered. As speculation continues and supporters wait for any direct update from Jinjar herself, one sentiment seems to echo the loudest among those who have watched her journey. Maybe this fall will help her finally rise, differently, freely, and entirely on her own terms. In recent developments surrounding Jinjar Duggar, the well-known figure caught in the throes of family tension, an incident has unfolded that has deeply affected her and those close to her. During a heated dispute with her husband, the emotional strain escalated to such an extent that Jinjar lost her balance and fell, a moment that quickly became symbolic of the wider challenges she faces within her domestic sphere. Family disagreements are a reality many endure, but when they happen under the watchful eyes of the public, the pressure multiplies exponentially. Jinjar's fall was not just physical, but representative of the emotional and psychological battles she has been navigating behind closed doors. Sources close to the family reveal that the disagreements have been ongoing, touching on fundamental differences in values and communication styles that have grown increasingly difficult to reconcile. Despite the turbulence, Jinjar Duggar has shown remarkable resilience. Friends and insiders describe her as someone who, even in her most vulnerable moments, maintains a fierce determination to protect her family and carve out a space for herself amid the chaos. This incident, while painful, seems to have been a turning point for Jinjar, prompting her to reevaluate her priorities and seek constructive ways to rebuild her life and relationships. The community around Jinjar has rallied in support, emphasizing the importance of mental health and emotional well-being during times of personal crisis. Experts in family counseling suggest that conflicts such as these, although distressing, can sometimes open doors to healing and growth if approached with openness and a willingness to change. For Jinjar, this might mean engaging in deeper communication efforts with her husband or even seeking professional mediation to navigate their differences. Beyond the immediate family struggles, Jinjar Duggar is also making strides in establishing her individual identity outside the shadow of familial conflicts. She has begun exploring various avenues, such as social advocacy and entrepreneurial ventures that reflect her passions and values. This shift not only provides her with a constructive outlet, but also offers her followers and supporters a renewed perspective on her character, one marked by courage, growth, and independence. It is important to acknowledge the complex reality faced by individuals like Jinjar, who live their private lives in the glare of public scrutiny. Every misstep or setback is often magnified, making recovery and progress even more challenging. Yet, Jinjar's journey reminds us that strength can be found in vulnerability and that adversity, while difficult, can also be a catalyst for profound personal transformation. As this story continues to unfold, many are watching closely, hoping for a resolution that brings peace and stability to Jinjar and her family. The path ahead will require patience, understanding, and a commitment to healing from all involved parties. Jinjar's example highlights the universal nature of family conflicts and the ongoing effort needed to maintain harmony, respect, and love within relationships. Thanks for watching.